So I'm making this video for like the 100th time about being homeless at 54. I'm gonna have to do it in parts, I guess. So I went to Florida to help my brother who had open heart surgery. He neglected to tell me that his wife was an opiate, alcoholic, narcissistic bitch. That's how only nice way to put it. Kids aren't allowed to watch this. I don't have this kid friendly. But he was a narcissist too. So after a couple of years of listening, being beat down, and how I had to do this and do that, and tell him who's coming to my house, and let me see your bank account and all this, I had it. So I went back. I put an ad in Craigslist, found this little horse ranch, polo ranch in Elgin. The lady said, "Oh, you can come here." So, yeah, that didn't work out. Her husband had an affair and he couldn't get into the cabin to screw around, so he wanted me gone, and her daughter didn't like anybody. They were snotty people. So I don't even want to get into that. That was just a bad 6 months of my life. So then, this woman I know, not getting into it, she said, "Oh, my friend died. I have a house." Come to find out, she didn't own the house. She offered me a cheap rent. She harassed me about being a hoarder, because remember, I had a store in Florida. I had a big store, online store, with lots of inventory. Oh, I was a hoarder. I had to move because I was a hoarder, blah, 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 blah. Now, this woman got in trouble with abuse of animals, too. I've never done that. I've never abused animals, never hoarded animals. I've never even had animal control to come at my house. So, except when my dog ran away and he brought him back to the house. So, that was only one time. So I moved. I put up with that for about a month. And so I lived in the abandoned house in Mart. No water, no lights, no nothing. So I sat there one day thinking, my animals can't live like this. I have to be the responsible one, since I have not been around responsible people for a year. Oh no, 3 years at this point. So I called Waco Humane Society and asked if they had a program for domestic violence and homelessness, So they took my animals, thank God, but the worst feeling I ever had was watching my dog look over the back seat while they're pulling away, like, what did I do wrong? Why did you turn me into the pound? See, he had come from a shelter already. So I cried and cried and cried. I was a failure. I didn't have a job, didn't have a car, didn't have nothing. Had no money. I had been lied to at that point. I'd been laughed about. I was even broke down on the side of the road once trying to get my stuff up. It was pouring down rain. The woman that I was using, her pickup, that falsely rented this house, she went by laughing and honked the horn. Yeah, that's really low. And then she made a joke once about, this is way after, about how, oh yeah, I was almost homeless. I had to live in a resident inn after my house caught on fire. After you left a heater on? Yeah, okay. That's a whole, that's real irresponsible. So anyhow, so I made the decision to go into a shelter. I put all my stuff, my store and everything, into a storage locker. It was robbed. I had no car. I put my animals into the foster care system for animals. They brought them down to Kingsville, and I said, wherever my animals are at is where I'm going to live for the rest of my life. And that's what I've done. I will not go back to Waco. I will not go back to Marlin, Texas. I have no desire to ever see that place again. I might get lonely down here. I don't have any friends, but I will never go back to where I was treated so badly. So, I just remembered days when I was homeless, sleeping under bushes, sleeping behind trash cans, looking in dumpsters for food. It was really, yeah. And then, have you ever wanted to hit somebody so hard when they laugh and say, I was almost homeless at a resident inn, when they're eating breakfast in the morning, hot breakfast, and they got their animals with them, and and you're living underneath a bush and behind a dumpster. I see no humor in it whatsoever. So anyhow, I get into this Waco abuse center, which is a joke. Me and another girl, we were both white, by the way, we got kicked out. But all the black girls, amazingly, they catered to them, who was laughing about how they were just living there so they could get money built up to get a house, or as long as they could stay there. They were fine. I had to beg for my medicine when they kicked me out. And so I got an Uber, had the last, well, I think I had like $10, whatever. I made it to the Waco bus station. Slept there a couple days. That's where I slept underneath a bush, too. In downtown Waco, which is really dangerous at night. So Waco police got me a ticket to Victoria. I got into a shelter. They helped me get a ticket on the Greyhound bus station. And so I made it to Victoria, Texas. This is like terrible. This is like the last 2 months of this. And what I haven't said yet was I had breast cancer. I was going through chemo. No one cared. My brother, his wife got mad at me. She didn't want me back, so he didn't talk to me. This woman that she calls my friend, she thought it was all a big joke. And so I was by myself. My daughter helped me, but I didn't want to be a burden on my kids. So I was at the shelter, but when you have to be able to get a job, and I had cancer. I had no hair. I went through the classes. I did everything I could to maybe get a job. I looked up home health care. I didn't have a car, so nobody really wanted me. But they got mad because I was selling stuff online. I would go to thrift stores, buy cheap stuff, sell it, and they weren't getting the money at the shelter. And they took 75% of your money is what they did. They gave you 25% to live on. I was never going to get out of there. So I found a job on Facebook Marketplace that was they needed a caregiver for a disabled man. They didn't tell me, and this woman's name was Deborah Wolf. So if somebody named Deborah Wolf in Rockport, Texas says she needs a caregiver, don't do it. Her son would be whacking off naked while she's feeding him cake icing. They had adult protection service there. She was a meth head. They partied all night, you name it. So I stayed there a weekend, so I managed to get out. I got the sheriff to pick me up, and I got over to a motel. There's a lot of stuff I'm leaving out that I'll leave for later. So I went walking around the next day, got me some food. I walked 2 miles down to HEB in the hot Texas sun. And I went around to all the motels. Nobody needed anybody. They really weren't open for the season yet. I went to one. It was kind of shady, but it was my grace. Ken, his name was Ken. He said he had a place. It was an old laundromat that I could live in. It had a shower. It had a kitchen. Had a stove, refrigerator, and he'd get me a bed. So I worked for him doing houses, gutting out houses. Those people there kind of trashy, but he was okay. So I did that for two and a half years, and then I finally got my Social Security. And then my next step is I moved to Falfurrias out of there because they were really bad people there. But it was a roof, and I had my animals. I got my animals back, every one of them, and that was the greatest gift. Being broke, only having money, because I hit what they call Texas lottery. They paid for my rent and bills, and the only money I had coming in was the stuff I was selling, which wasn't much, and food stamps. The money I got selling stuff, I paid for my internet, and so the food stamps, I mean, they lasted a while. Then I got COVID and I had a stroke right when I got a good job too. And so then I had to quit working because I had a stroke and I couldn't work. So then, like I said, it went on and on. I got my Social Security. It was kind of an adventure in itself because I had the last of my credit cards and everything. I had good credit. So, but I was so grateful the day I got my animals back. Yeah, that was like getting your kids back from CPS, So I never left them out of my sight again. And so I moved to Falfurrias, a cute little ranch. I liked it. I really did love it out there. It was quiet. I like Falfurrias. I want to go back. People were nice to me there. I had a car. I had bought a car. And I was able to drive myself. I had gotten a job. And I was able to drive myself to the grocery store, and doctor's offices. And then, some things happened, being mean to the cats I was taking care of. And my neighbors, they shot out my kitchen window. And they shot out my kitchen window, and then they stole my trash can, and they partied. They were really loud. They were like south of the border type of people, that low-life crap. And they were thuggish, this is what they were. They weren't working class people at all. So, but I do miss living out there. They even tore the pipes off my house. That's how thuggish they were. Threw in rocks through my house. They were just pure trash. I was the one paying my rent before it was due, and I paid more than what it was due. But they weren't told to leave. I had just left because I didn't want to be harassed anymore. But you think me paying more rent and and I even offered to pay more if they would just leave. But they even got a split, and I didn't even get that. I don't know what the obsession was with those folks next door to me in Falfurrias, but it was kind of a weird, odd situation. So I moved to Sinton, and I hated that. That's a son of a bitch that assaulted me. I'm still trying to get money out of him. The Harrows. He's just a Lebanese piece of trash. And his wife was a dumb blonde named Janet. And he has the killer dogs. So that's how I went from homeless. Oh, and then I moved from there into this automotive place in Driscoll. And I'm going to have to find a roommate, I guess, because I've made the bay areas in the back, the apartment, and then the front has a bed in it and TV and internet. It's two separate apartments if you want to look at it like that. They both have their own bathrooms. But I'm going to have to do something because Social Security cut my money. Since Trump got in, they cut my money $201. Now I only get $13.11. That doesn't even pay the bills hardly. I got $49 left over this month after paying all the bills. And that's to buy pet food, my food, extras. It's not matching up. And of course, I don't have a car now because Sames Ford screwed me over on a Junkard out there that's sitting there just a really big paperweight, in my driveway. So, anyway, that's from homelessness to Driscoll for now. But hey, if you got any funny anecdotes, I need them. You want to send me some cash or some gift cards to help me buy pet food or buy pet food and send it to me, just let me know. My PayPal is LisaKid786 because money just didn't make it this month because of Social Security being cut. They even cut my Medicaid that helped me pay my the Medicaid that helped me pay my payments. Oh, and since I'm disabled, I get food stamps. So I only get, they went from $54 down to $20. So, and then my food card from Humana got cut from $150 to $75. So they can't cut me anymore. There's nothing else they can cut and me be able to make it. So, they did cut my free rides to the doctor. So I have to pay for the rides now, and then they don't pay for the grocery store like Aetna did. So, But I still had the $400 for these cats right there. It's Gray and Daddy, if you ever, you know. And you'd think as much as, hey, rent, I was the only one who wasn't a drug addict or alcoholic or incest with my brother out there. But it's at that address. If you live out there and you can stay sober long enough to find the right cats, I'll give you $400. Honey boy. But that's it. My dog's growling, so I gotta go. So that's my life. If you leave a comment, be nice, because I can't do any more hateful comments. I'm burned out. I just can't do it. I'll end up just going off on you. So, and I don't want to be mean to anybody. So have a good evening.